Welcome along to this evening's coverage of Stage 2 at the Players' Championship Finals here in Minehead. Very apt walk-on music actually for this one, because it will be Blink 180 and you'll miss it. A fast and furious affair awaits between Keane, Barry and Callan, Rydz, the Geordie ace, who has been on a decent run here in Minehead so far this weekend and produced a very good darting display to beat Madas Razma on day one, and then Ricardo Pietrasco this afternoon. But Keane Barry has been very, very impressive, and I'm sure Paul Nicholson alongside me would agree with that.
Absolutely, Murph. When you look at their tournament stats,
first leg, Callan at throw first. Game on!
Only one of them really impresses, and you sense that Rydz has been quite fortunate to get through with a tournament average of 87.06. But it's a different session, it's a different game, and now it's a test of who can win 2 games in 2 sessions in the same day.
So it is the last 16. 4 matches.
39.
Best of 19 legs on this stage and 4 over on the main stage.
60.
And we have some really tasty tungsten tussles coming up. This is a perfect hors d'oeuvre for the evening's entertainment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit. We've got another Geordie and Ryan Joyce to come. You've got Ryan Searle. You've got Johnny Clayton. You've got Dirk van Duijvenbode, Danny Noppert and Matt Campbell. A lovely mix of paces and countries represented. It's going to be a lovely evening. And it might not last that long because most of the players are quite swift. Especially these two. Rydz is going for the baby fish in the first leg of the contest. It's double 5.
120.
And as you can see, we're now best of 19, so first to 10.
Perfectly pitched from Barry.
60.
I was about to suggest that that was an awkward dart, but as will be the case in this match, he didn't give me time to suggest it. That was a good marker and it was well used.
Just before we go into the nuts and bolts of what's happened to these guys in their Players' Championship Finals career to date, just looking through this crowd, there's a lot of Johnny Clayton shirts out there. A lot of Welsh support, so when Johnny Clayton plays in match 2 against Ryan Joyce, expect noise.
That's the second game here. Campbell against Noppert in game 3. And then a brilliant end to the Stage 2 coverage for the weekend. Remember, it all goes on to one stage for the quarters, semis and finals tomorrow. You viewers in the UK can watch that live on ITV. But it's Dirk van Duijvenbode against Ryan Searle, our last match here. Great way to sign off.
Yeah, just a bit. Considering how well both of them have played. In fact, it's Dirk who has the inferior tournament average to Ryan Searle, who is one of 2 players playing on this stage tonight who've got a tournament average in excess of a ton. That bodes well. Now, these guys have got something in common. This is the second time that Keane Barry's been in this tournament. But the first time, he didn't really get out of the blocks because he was eliminated in round 1.
78.
That was last year, and he lost out to Peter Wright.
Babyfish attempted in the first leg. Big fish on offer in the second, but all he can do is leave it handy.
36.
We saw Callan Rydz yesterday on this number, and he went for 2 double tops. Not this time.
He might wish he had. Out of jail.
69. Keane required 36.
Not having much joy in double 18, is he? Well, this time he gets the little cousin over on the other side of the board. Yeah, but the point I was going to make about these two having something in common is that Keane Barry last year on debut averaged 99 and lost to Peter Wright in round 1. I'm trying to decide whether Keane Barry adores Minehead, because judging by his experiences here, he never plays bad. Never.
There's something about this place, something in the air, and it has been loving the air here in Minehead. We have to say congratulations to Ant and Katie, who got engaged on the main stage tonight with Dimitri Vandenberg present, their favourite player.
Dimitri Vandenberg was the present.
46.
And you gave them both a shirt to celebrate with.
Oh, that's nice.
140.
Anyway, this thing I was going to say about them having something in common, I'm going to get it out eventually. This is Callan
They've
Rydz.
got a lot in common, they're getting engaged. Oh, Rydz and Barry, okay.
Keane to require 120.
Shall we wait till the next leg? Because this is so quick. But this is the second time that Callan Rydz has been to the last 16 of this tournament. Guess who beat him? Peter Wright. It was 10 legs to 9 in Coventry. And Rydz has left himself on the same number, but for how long? Not for long.
But it's a break by Barry. Early control, but as we've mentioned, it is a longer race now.
If anything, Keane's probably going to have to temper his pace against Callan.
58.
But just like back in March when he made the semi-finals of the UK Open, Keane Barry is showing incredible
93.
patience, poise, maturity. And he's giving his opponents zero in the way of ammunition. He's not losing his temper at anything. He's taking and soaking everything up.
58.
And I think he's going to take some stopping in this game.
Well, over on the main stage, Rob Cross is in action in the opener. He's taking on Martin Schindler.
57.
And it's Luke Humphries against Christoph Ratajski. Then Dimitri Vandenberg versus Michael van Gerwen. And the closer on that one,
83.
a battle between the two men who've hit the most maximums in Scott Williams, who was involved in a Brahma on this stage this afternoon, beating Dave
58.
Chisnell to face Joe Cullen tonight.
Rydz is looking for new territory to make the quarterfinals. And that would signal, you would say, a bit of a return to form. Hasn't really been clattering the same sort of numbers as he did
31.
last year, but he did have
Keane to require
Players' Championship
88.
final earlier this season. Well, he did put in some big numbers. Didn't get the title. He was stopped by
56.
a rampant Michael Smith, but Keane's picking him off periodically here. And again, he's on double 16
Keane
with
to
nothing that
require
Rydz can do
37.
about it.
Yeah, it was Rydz that was rampant in the opening
Keane
leg,
shot
but
on the
since
fourth
then,
leg.
it's
Keane
Barry who's run riot.
Fifth leg, Callan to
And we are
throw
seeing a continuation of the standard that we've seen from Callan Rydz so far in this tournament, and Keane Barry is edging
67.
closer to getting near the standard that he's been producing in the event.
That first start is ominous. That's got to be a max.
180.
He could have landed another 6 on top of those. That's how well he's playing. And he hasn't even got a winning record against Callan Rydz, but
65.
here's the caveat to that. They've never played each other best of 11. They've only played each other
95.
best of 7 or best of 9 in the development tour. And Callan's got 2 wins to Keane's 1. So this is a big jump from best of 9
Yeah,
to
still
best of
never,
19.
still never played each other best of 11. We mentioned earlier today, didn't we, when Keane Barry was playing in the afternoon session, that he was a Cork boy. Well, you've had it confirmed, haven't you, that he's actually named after Roy Keane.
Yeah, Barbara was in touch. Miss Dynamite. I'm sure she's listening along. She's over there in Czechia right now, just watching Keane, hoping he gets the win. But she mentioned that he was actually named after Roy Keane, and it makes complete sense.
115.
Tops.
95.
Well, it could start to get away very early. You can't win it in the first 5 legs, but you can feel like you're starting to lose it. And Rydz will have that feeling if Barry gets rid of this.
Well, that's an unfortunate bounce, but a very good one for Rydz, who can get himself within 1. Great shot. There will be a break after 10 legs in this contest for a very short period. I know I talk about this during the UK Open and the Players' Championship finals, but you will set yourself targets based on where you stand after, say, 5 or 6 legs. Now, Rydz is probably thinking, if I'm in at 5-5, I will be ecstatic right now because I could easily be 4-1 down.
57.
In matches with breaks, players often look at one session at a time, don't they? So, could be approaching this as a game of 2 halves.
You could say that Keane's won the first set by 3 legs to 1, if you want to look at it in that sort of way. Now, Rydz loves set play. He played at the World Championship last year and made the quarterfinals. That was his biggest ever paycheck of £50,000.
93.
The winner of this one gets exactly double that. Not this game, the tournament, that is.
The World Championship just around the corner. The draw will take place on Monday evening.
Where are you going to be when that's taking place? Are you going to be watching along?
Sat with my face pressed up against the TV screen and popcorn in hand. Can he pop this?
Consider it popped. That leg difference now is back to 2. Continually impressive from Keane and constantly asking questions of Callan.
Well, the only darts player named after a footballer, is he? Keegan Brown, another one?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
41.
No idea who I'm named after, honestly. Unless it's Paul Newman, I don't want to know.
96.
What about you?
The true story is...
Chris Waddle? Go on, tell me it's Chris Waddle.
I wish it was. First name in the A to Z baby book of names that my parents agreed on. I think they got bored by C. Yeah, that'll do.
39.
But that might not do for Callan Rydz.
Yeah, that's a good joke for anybody called Aaron with 2 A's. That'll do.
That will do very nicely for Keane Barry. Even
35.
a wayward one helps him get away. And it could be getting
94.
away from his opponent.
Just seems to be winning the small battles.
But it's exactly what we expected, isn't it, Paul? Based on what we've seen from both of these players. We've had the privilege of seeing them both in both their games on this stage. And Rydz has been okay.
96.
Barry has been brilliant.
88.
It's got a ring to it. Double 14.
81.
Oh, that one came out way too high.
Require 91.
This could be vital for Rydz's chances to have that 5-5 scoreline at the break.
66.
Oh, and he'll hate under-delivering that shot. You've got to give it a chance.
Yeah, it was a perfect guide. Very inviting. Doesn't mind missing outside, but he prefers going in. And he goes into a 3-leg lead here, Keane Barry. And right now, there's only one man in the match. Also the 91 route there, Paul. More and more we are seeing players go aggressive for the treble 17. Does going for the bull tell you a little bit about where Rydz's mind might be right now? It's almost a safety first approach.
Yeah, maybe. I think it does depend on what's happening in the practice room. If you've been hitting a lot of bullseyes, maybe you just fancy that. Right now, if you offered Callan Rydz 6-4 down at the break, he would take it. He would take it. Take that breather and figure it out in session 2. But he's not missing all of a sudden. Right here. Oh, that was a very unfortunate kick.
It was rather nonchalant, that last dart. He just felt that he couldn't miss.
100.
Just want to give you a little bit of insight into how good Keane Barry is at Minehead when it comes to best of 19, because we had a lot of best of 19 darts at the UK Open earlier this year. He beat Graham Hall 10-7 averaging 99. After that,
59.
he beat Neil Zonneveld 10-9, averaging 97. Then it was Ricky Evans, 10-5.
78.
He's not going to be 6-2 up courtesy of this visit. But then he beat James Wade, 10-4, averaging 100. Fair to say Keane likes best of 19 at Minehead.
96.
In fact,
Callan
only when it
require 40.
went to best of 21 did he lose.
That's another good guide.
Game
This time
showing
it's
the
utilised.
Callan Rydz.
And that is a break from
Ninth
Rydz.
leg. Callan the throw first. Game
Suddenly, before the break, he's thinking, I could get to 5-5 here.
That would be a result.
on.
Not a big
34.
fan of draws in darts, but I know Callan will be a fan of 5-5 and the conclusion to come.
40.
Anyway, I've got a bone to pick, and I know I'm not someone who can scoff too much at this, because I'm not clean-shaven right now, but how many
42.
dart players do you know that are clean-shaven?
Not many.
Bobby George has been pounding me over the last 10 years, and every time he sees me he says, you haven't had a shave yet, have you? Well, I could say the same for about 99% of the dart players on the tour.
81.
I think it's about time we had an event sponsored by a razor company.
100.
I still feel that this pair could sharpen up a bit more, particularly Callan Rydz.
100.
Yeah, it's not a classic averages-wise, but still Keane Barry is getting the better of it by about 4 points. 89 plays 85.
144.
But this is a big shot. Oh, another. Again, he under-delivers.
Yeah, and maybe even
What shouldn't
rushed.
have been a shot like that?
Maybe even rushed a little
Sorry,
bit.
88. Can you require 81?
Barry just stepping back. Not letting anything knock him out of his stride. No reaction. That's a reaction.
41.
He will be devastated not to get a shot at the ball.
56.
At least. It's tops.
Game shot
And he's
on
been
ninth
very
leg.
good on tops as
Callan
Rydz,
Rydz.
especially on 2-dot combinations the last couple of days.
Game on.
Now, the common commentary line that is trotted out when a player is in the ascendancy is that they don't want the break to come.
97.
But I actually feel here that if Callan Rydz gets back to 5 apiece, he will want the break to come in order to allow Keane Barry to stew on it for a while.
Excellent point.
100.
I think the break comes at the right time for all players, quite frankly. I think when you've played 10 legs, you're ready to just take a breather and then come out and refresh yourself to start leg 11. It's just a sports person's narrative, isn't it, to say who the break is advantageous to. I don't think it's advantageous to many people,
Yeah,
in the respect that it will make them play better or worse.
it's what you do in that break and what you think about. And if Callan Rydz does get to 5-all, surely he'll be thinking that's a result, and Keane Barry will be wondering where it went wrong, and that is the likeliest outcome now.
Just a little bit.
100.
Like I say, it won't be a long break.
81.
It'll be a break, just like this game. Fast. Double 13.
55.
Well, he did rush that one. That one's missed by an inch.
Well, Keane's already taken out 106. Now he wants double 16.
88.
A chance to keep a little bit of a buffer going into the break.
That would have been such a sucker punch. Ooh, that's only just in. Double 4. Oh, he's got away with it as well. He could easily have been sitting on 3 points with one dart. But as it stands, it's 5-5. And the Riot has found his way back. We're level going into the break. A very warm welcome back. And we are about to crack on with leg 11 in this best of 19 contest in the last 16 of the Kazoo Players Championship Finals here at Minehead. It's 5-5. They're both averaging high 80s. And we've had 6 maximums already, which disguises the fact that this has been a very up and down contest. There's one player who was happy to be 5-5, one isn't, and that's Keane Barry, because he was the one who was flying out the blocks, Murph, and back came
Ladies
Rydz.
and gentlemen, the 11th leg, Callan the throw first, game on.
Yes, Callan Rydz reeled off 3 successive legs before the interval.
54.
In the opening match here on stage 2 this evening, 1 of 4, the first over on the main stage.
100.
Sees Rob Cross 4-2 up on Martin Schindler.
It's a different dynamic, isn't it, when you get stage 2, because you get 1 break after 10, whereas in the main stage you get 2 breaks. You get 1 after 5 and then 1 after 10.
Yeah, all of them go on the same stage tomorrow for the quarter, semis and finals. It's almost like, never mind the red button, this is the red stage, isn't it, for the Players' Championship finals.
Yeah, it's a great day Sunday here at Minehead. I wouldn't know as a player, never made it, but seen the atmosphere from afar, and it's quite something. It can be heard for miles.
98.
Yeah, there've been some
King
real
require 81.
rip-roarers in that Skyline Pavilion. But here on stage 2, Keane Barry has come bouncing back from the break.
Keane Barry.
With a break.
12th leg, Keane to throw first, game on.
Every now and again, I'd like to check if Keane Barry's got a pulse, because he looks like a robot. He lets
57.
nothing out in the way of emotion. I said a little bit earlier on when he was playing that he's a look at the darting present, not the darting future. He is what a dart player looks like right now. Ultra focused. A bit like a chess player, really.
100.
But is able to throw things more accurately than most.
That was a dozen dart leg from Keane Barry.
57.
Ready to lay the gauntlet down to Rydz once more. There's been a case of
16.
him being the chased and Rydz being the chaser, led in leg 1, Callan Rydz, but not since.
140.
The person who beat Keane in the UK Open back in March, I beg your pardon, was Michael Smith. Just before Michael lost that dramatic final to Danny Noppert. And it will be Danny Noppert in game 3 here tonight when he takes on Matt Campbell. I wonder who's going to be through before they grace the stage. Rydz will have his chance to break immediately back.
Yeah, real seesaw affair.
Callan require 24.
Double 12 to do just that.
Game Sean, the 12th leg.
With no reaction from Rydz. He knows that he's still not playing at his explosive best, doesn't he?
You're not looking at 2 players who are big celebrators anyway. Even when Callan hit a 170 checkout at Blackpool against Rob Cross, he looked quite uncomfortable in the fact that he'd done something spectacular.
Yeah, he does have a couple of PDC titles to his name, senior titles that is, Callan Rydz. Both of those came in 2021.
Yeah, Keane hasn't really had one of those really hot spells on the floor where he's worried a title yet. And I suppose we judge him by very high standards because of what he's done in his developmental days with the JDC and development tour and all the other things he's done. He's won pretty much everything to this point.
100.
But very much like Josh Rock, I don't think we should judge young players until they're in their prime, which for me is early 30s.
95. Can you require 100?
Well, another 180 from Barry in this leg. That's 5 now in the match. He wants treble 20 here. He is actually now at this point the biggest 180 hitter in the tournament, adding 5 to his previous 6.
Defensive route again.
69.
Misses the ball
Keane
and offers
requires
Keane
60.
the chance for a 3rd consecutive break in this session.
And 60 is a simple finish for Keane Barry, one that is a very difficult finish for most dart players, but because of the way his darts lay down in the board, Barry can build, and that was an excellent example.
Barry can build. Can he fix it? We'll find out. Keane does actually have, and I'm sure I'm about to get another message on social media from Barbara. He's got 2 stars at the top of his dart shirt. I wonder if that's to signify being
93.
Junior World Champion and World Youth Champion in the BDO. Leighton Bennett in that final at the Indigo at the O2. And I'll tell you what, cast my mind back, because I was there. I said that Keane's not a celebrator. He was that night. He gave it some, because he knew who he was playing. He can't just play the board, he can play the opponent as well.
100.
I would assume, you mentioned the Boys World Championship. The year before that, he won the JDC World Championship, didn't he? So
That's
I would
the
assume
one.
it's that.
Yep.
That's the Junior Darts Corporation.
Yep, he's got to win the World Youth Championship before he wins the senior one, I guess.
Can you remember who he beat in that one? This is quite apt for where he lives, where he spends time with his partner Barbara Hospodarska.
Adam Gavlas?
It was Adam Gavlas, who of course appeared in a World Youth final in Minehead a few years ago. And of course that is happening tomorrow. Josh Rock against Nathan Gervin.
Yep, heavy favourite is Josh Rock for good reason, but again, Nathan Gervin comes into a final on a big stage against arguably the best young player in the game.
Keane Barry now, we are getting to the business end, aren't we? 2 up, 2 away. I always love the way that Professor Part, the great John Part, talks about the situation in these races, leg races as they can be called. And he says as long as you're closer to them than they are to the finish, then you're all right. So we really are in kind of last chance saloon stages here for Callan Rydz.
Well, I'm the one that said that Keane was the favourite in this game based on tournament stats. They aren't lying.
It would take a good effort from here, but if Barry were to win this leg, that would mean Rydz would have to reel off 4 on the spin, having had to reel off 3 on the spin to get level at the first break.
Well, if you were to give me a list of players who could possibly do that, Rydz would be on it. You're more likely to get spun around by a quick player than a slow player, in my opinion.
56.
Well, just to pile on some pressure here and make Rydz think a little bit. Another treble would do it.
I don't think you can miss this, Callan. Oh, what do you know? It's a 2-darter with tops at the end. If there's been one thing working the last couple of days, it's been that.
So now Callan Rydz is closer to Keane Barry than Keane Barry is to the finish line. And if he were to win this leg, Rydz that is, he would have the advantage because, of course, he would have the throw in 2 of the final 3. That's how quickly things can change. And often people watch and think that the last leg is the key one, but I think we've just seen a key leg there.
Absolutely right. I'm just looking through Keane's CV. Is there any level he hasn't won on? Challenge Tour, Development Tour, Junior Tour, World Championship Boys in the BDO, World Masters Boys as well. It's an incredible CV for someone
66.
who isn't even 25 yet. He was born in 2002.
121.
Rydz will be disappointed. He's left to finish, but he would have felt he could have filled that up there.
58.
Earlier in the afternoon, we called that Ryan Joyce might go for 3 bulls on 150. He didn't. He did get a 158 to finish the match.
This has turned around in the space of a couple of legs. Callan Rydz is suddenly pulling up alongside Keane Barry.
94.
He's going to do a Grace Jones. Pull up to the bumper.
And as I said, he'd be favourite. He'd have the darts, although that hasn't counted for that much in this match.
No, I think Keane was in a very similar position against Andrew Gilding earlier, and he was able to turn it around. He won the last 2 legs of the contest, but he's done it again! 2-darter with tops at the end. He can't miss.
Yeah, he did win the last 2 legs of the contest, Keane Barry, when his back was against the wall, when he had to win the last 2 legs against Gilding earlier on. And he did it using just 25 darts across them.
It's amazing when you get labelled as a dart player as someone who can get yourself out the jam like this and win against the throw in the last 3 legs.
57.
But if it constantly happens all the time, how often can you draw on it? Every now and again, and I can say this hand on heart,
60.
you just want to get an easy win now and again. You know what? You want to win 10-2, 10-3 and think, you know what? I played better there than my opponent and I wasn't put through the ringer. Let's face it, Keane Barry's been put through the ringer a little bit this week so far.
Ah, brilliant. Brilliant from Barry, but it doesn't get him to a finish, meaning Rydz has 6 darts to do this.
The collective... Oh, honestly, it was like a pantomime in here.
Oh, no, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Well, Callan Rydz, he's behind you.
Oh, what do you know?
Game showing a 17
Predictable, boring brilliance from Callan Rydz, who recognises what's going right and he continues to do it.
But that's a perfect couple of darts for Keane Barry. Surprised he switched. Particularly the first dart was plumb.
By the way, boring is good.
96.
Because when you're constantly doing something time and time again, boringly brilliant is about as good a compliment as I can give anyone.
This is also the first time that Callan Rydz has been in front since the very first leg of the match.
98.
Pacing himself quite well.
Well, you called him patient earlier on, and I thought that was a very good description.
Well, playing Pietreczko, who obviously wasn't comfortable, he was taking a lot of breathing breaks in between shots. And Callan's not comfortable in those situations usually, but I just get the feeling that he paced himself brilliantly a little bit earlier. But are we going to a last leg decider?
Or is Callan going to match his cousin and take out the biggest finish we've seen so far at the tournament? The 167 hit by Chris Dobie.
99. Keane requires 72.
That question that I posed is over to Keane. Can he finish a leg on tops?
32.
Oh, how close was that? Well, it's not a 2-darter on tops, but he might get 1 dart at it if he doesn't get the treble.
But he gets 2 darts at double 4. And Callan completes victory. Rydz is through. He defeats Keane Barry to reach the quarter-finals of the Players' Championship finals here in Minehead, where he will face either Ryan Joyce or Johnny Clayton. Down to the wire in that one. Callan Rydz wins it by 10 legs to 9.